I paid my parents $280,000 debt to save our family house. I gave them the receipt and hugged them. The next day, they sold the house and left the country. They left a note, "Thanks for clearing it. We didn't want to live with a loser." I just smiled. Because the house they sold was after I paid off every dime of their $280,000 debt. My name is Kelsey Monroe. And from wherever you're watching this, tell me in the comments, have you ever been used by your own blood like a walking wallet? It was a Wednesday. The sun was starting to slip behind the pine trees that framed our porch. I had just gotten off my second shift at the hospital, exhausted but proud. The night before, my mom had cried in my arms, saying I had saved the family. My dad, who never hugged me growing up, wrapped me in the tightest embrace. "You're our hero," he whispered. I believed them. Thought, finally, I mattered. I stepped out of my car with a smile still stuck to my face from the night before. But something was wrong. The curtains were gone. The driveway, empty. The flower beds Mom used to fuss over, torn up. I rushed to the front door. It turned, but the house was gutted. On the hardwood floor sat a white envelope with my name scribbled in rushed pen. "Greater than thanks for fixing our credit, loser. We moved to Florida with your brother. Don't call." No signature. No remorse. Just that. I dropped the envelope, sank to the floor, then dragged myself onto the front lawn like a ghost. Neighbors passed by and waved like everything was normal. I wanted to scream. I wanted to burn something down. Dad. But I sat there, silent, letting it all sink in. And then, I smiled. Because my parents didn't know one small thing. When I paid off the house last week, I had the deed transferred to my name. Quietly. Legally. Every document signed, notarized, filed. So the sale they tried to pull off wasn't valid. And in 24 hours, they were about to learn what it means to betray the wrong daughter. Let's just say, they'd regret every dollar I ever gave them. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, watching the sunset spill over my knees like blood, while the letter crumpled in my hand. They really did it. Used me like a checkbook, then tossed me like junk mail. But what they didn't know is that while they were busy scheming, I was paying attention. For the first time in my life, I'd stopped trusting their words and started reading the fine print. Let me tell you how we got here. 6 months ago, I was sleeping in my car after a 12-hour shift. I'd been staying with a friend after my ex kicked me out, but I didn't want to be a burden anymore. That night, I got a call from Mom. She was sobbing. "Greater than Kelsey, we're going to lose the house. Your father made some bad investments. We're $280,000 in the hole." That house was my only anchor. The same porch where I had my 5th birthday. The stairs I used to sneak down every Christmas. Losing it felt like losing a limb. I asked, "What happened to the money you inherited from Grandpa?" "Greater than, oh, sweetie," Mom sniffled. "We used it to help your brother start his business. You know how hard it's been on him." Of course. Evan, the golden child. Crashes every car. Ruins every job. Cheats on every girlfriend. But somehow, he's always the one they protect. Still, I couldn't bear to watch my childhood home get auctioned off. So I drained my savings. Maxed out my credit cards. Even took out a personal loan. They were shocked when I walked in with a manila folder full of cashier's checks. Dad went silent. Mom dropped to her knees. "Greater than you're an angel," she whispered. They made me dinner. Took pictures. Posted about it like I was a war hero. And me? I was just happy to be seen. That's the part that really stings. I wasn't just robbed of money. I was robbed of the illusion that they loved me the same way they loved him. But now that illusion was dead. And I was done being their safety net. Because while they were packing bags for Florida, I was finalizing the deed transfer. They didn't even notice the papers I asked them to sign, for refinancing, I said. But every signature was real. Every form airtight. And now, as I stood on my empty front lawn, the only thing I felt was power. They thought they took everything from me. But what they really did was give me permission to burn the bridge down. The next morning, I drove to the title office in a black hoodie and sunglasses. I didn't want to be seen, not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted the surprise to land like lightning when it hit them. "Greater than Miss Monroe." The clerk smiled, sliding the manila folder across the counter. "Everything's official. The sale your parents attempted is void. The property is still legally yours." I nodded once. Calm on the outside. Inside, I was fire. The buyers had already wired the money to my parents' joint account, but the title was never in their name. Which meant they committed fraud. A felony. I didn't want them in jail. Not yet. Jail would be mercy. I wanted them cornered. Homeless. Humiliated. I stepped out of the office into the warm wind. Checked my phone. 4 missed calls from a Florida area code. I walked. Let them sweat. That evening, I called the local sheriff's office and reported an unauthorized attempted sale of a property under my name. I emailed the buyer's agent all my documents. Within 2 hours, the deal was frozen. The moving trucks turned around. But Mom and Dad were already gone. They thought they'd be sipping margaritas in Boca Raton by now. Instead, they were about to find out. Their dream home didn't exist. Their bank account was about to be seized in a legal hold. And their golden boy son? Yeah. Evan was about to find out just how toxic his own wife could be, when her dreams got dragged down with a broke, jobless mama's boy. I waited. I didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't explain. I just posted one thing to my Facebook. Greater than if you ever feel like you've been used, don't get angry, get smart. And always read the deed. Then I turned off my notifications. Let them wonder. Let them spiral. That night, I sat in the empty living room, alone, and laughed. Because I wasn't the girl who begged to be loved anymore. I was the woman who owned the house. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.